If you wake up feeling more light, more clear, you know that you're doing something probably better, which kind of blew me away. All of these things have been great. They've been good optimizations. And so on this video, I wanted to talk a bit about what I've been doing with my carnivore diet, how I've been making adjustments, and some of the other updates on things that I've been working on. So the first thing I want to mention is the sweet potato experiment was kind of a failure. For me, it didn't work very well. I felt pretty crappy eating sweet potatoes. Some of the feedback from the video was that people remove the skins. I think that could be an option for a lot of people to try, but I've found that the sweet potatoes in general, I'm not a fan of them. I did a little bit more digging, and what I found is vegetables in general, potatoes, sweet potatoes, russet potatoes, really anything that grows under the ground is probably gonna be more of a fibrous type thing, and it's probably not gonna be tolerated as well. Something like butternut squash or olives, olive oil, or berries are gonna be other alternatives that are probably more tolerable on a carnivore diet than something like a sweet potato. So if you're gonna do sweet potatoes, remove the skins and see how you feel. Personally, I felt blocked up, I was bloated, I had more gas, I didn't feel optimal by any stretch of the imagination. I felt like I really took a step back when I added them into my diet, and I did this for about 2-3 weeks. And so I got enough data to really just say, all right, I'm not doing sweet potatoes for a while. I wanna stay off them and just focus on the honey and the animal foods and the organs. The second thing that I've added recently is fish. I've been eating a lot more wild Alaskan sockeye salmon. Went to Costco the other day. They had $10 a pound Alaskan salmon, sockeye salmon that had been previously frozen. Here in Texas, if you can get salmon from all the way up in Alaska, I'm gonna take it, especially at 10 bucks a pound. So I bought several of those. I've been eating them, and within about a week, I noticed that my inflammation levels, my feelings of like pressure and just stiffness, especially when waking up, which is a lot of times when you notice the changes that you make, you'll typically wake up, and if you wake up feeling more light, more clear, more like just shooting out of the gate, you know that you're doing something probably better than if you are waking up feeling crappier. And you'll notice that also when you stay up later and you drink alcohol and add other things into your regimen. So for me, the salmon and probably the actual fish oil that I'm getting, the omega-3 fatty acids, is helping with thinning the blood, with overall benefiting my body in the inflammation levels. So even though I'm doing grass-fed meats and organs, and I've been doing that pretty consistently, and I've been doing marrow and bone marrow supplements and things like that, just kind of adding those in, I have found with all of that, that just eating the fish itself has been a pretty impactful change. So I'm going to try to incorporate fish at least twice a week as a part of my meal, where I add in maybe like 10 ounces or so, 8 to 10 ounces, so a half pound, maybe a little bit more of fish. Normally what I do is I do 2 half-pound patties of Ancestral Blend ground beef that's grass-fed with liver and heart. That's been kind of my regimen going forward the last couple of weeks and maybe the last month or so. But I want to add in maybe a half-pound burger with a half-pound fillet of salmon on 2 to 3 days a week, and just see how that goes. I also did a little research. Fish oil you can supplement, so I'm going to add in a little bit of fish oil from Vital Choice. I think they're one of the better companies out there. I've seen Mercola talk a lot about them, and I have looked into their whole kind of product and brand. And I think that company creates a very high quality fish oil, and that's something you have to really watch for if you're gonna supplement fish oil. I'm probably gonna add in 2 to 3 capsules. It's a serving of 3 capsules on the off days when I don't have any sort of fish in my diet. And then on the in days, I'm gonna add in just the fish like I talked about. So that's the other change that I've been making. A quick update on the Apollo Neuro. I'm wearing this thing right now. You can kind of see it's on my ankle. I'm liking this device. I think if you are a person who has HRV issues, if you feel like you're overtraining or your nervous system is constantly kind of just struggling to settle down, which you'll notice a lot if you have like an Oura Ring tracker or a Whoop band, you'll notice when you sleep, your resting heart rate will be higher. It'll be elevated. You'll also notice if you go up a staircase in the morning or you do some jumps or push-ups or pull-ups, your heart rate may stay elevated longer. You'll feel your chest kind of pound. You'll notice that your nervous system isn't quite settled. And with this device, I have noticed I fall asleep better when I lay down to go to bed. My chest doesn't pound as much in terms of just that feeling that you get kind of your body still kind of racing to settle down. And it's not major, but it's definitely one of those kind of things where it's like the undercurrent of my day-to-day with all the things that I'm working on, with all the priorities, and in this world that we live in where there's a constant stream of things that just hit you all the time. I think it's worth the $350 for the device. It's a one-time purchase. You can test it out. I'm sure if you worked with support, and we put a link in the actual videos, we'll link it here, the actual review, the breakdown of the product, where I think we have a discount code as well. You can get it for a little bit less than that, but there is something there with stimulating your nervous system with touch, and that's what this device is doing. And it's really kind of low key. You don't have to do much with it. You just go on your phone, you hit the app, you turn on a setting, and then you run it, and you do this for a couple hours a day. And I've noticed that I'm just more chill. I can handle things. I'm more resilient, especially with the late nights. Especially with late nights, I wake up after going to bed at like 3, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and my nervous system it's not able to kind of like settle, and I just feel wrecked. But with this, I've noticed it's helped a lot with that. So that's another huge thing that I think, even though it's not one of those things you're going to notice overnight, you're going to see benefits long-term that are going to add to the overall arsenal of the optimization that we're going for. So there's a couple other things I want to mention. I just started moving to Ethernet, so I wired a cable all the way up through my apartment here and plugged it in my MacBook. And the reason I mention this is because I wanted to reduce EMF exposure. So I changed all my peripherals on my MacBook to wired mouse, wired keyboard, and now I am wired. And what I noticed, which kind of blew me away, was the latency went down half the speed, and my upload download speeds more than doubled, even though I'm on fiber and I was getting a lot with a brand new 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro. So if you are like me and you like to optimize everything, I would definitely consider getting Ethernet plugged in at your primary workstation. Of course, you're gonna be like out and about sometimes and working in places like a WeWork office where Ethernet may not be available, and that's fine. But when you're like focused and dialed in where you're spending the majority of your time, think about removing the EMF, and you're gonna get much better speed. You're gonna get faster interaction. A lot of the tools people work with are on the web, and you're just gonna find that's gonna benefit you much more to do that. I do also wanna mention that for testosterone in particular, I have noticed if you withstain from ejaculation, so this is more for men, but if you do not masturbate, if you do not come, your testosterone will elevate. I have noticed this. I have done experiments with this where I've gone for like 10 days, 14 days without doing this. You have more vibrance, you have more strength in the gym. You will see an improvement. They've done a study, I'll put it here in the video for you, where they tested the baseline of people who did not ejaculate for 7 days. Once they got to that 7-day mark, they actually saw their testosterone levels jump up like 50%, even more than that in some cases. And there are other people who've talked about this. Dave Asprey's talked about how if you aren't releasing that sort of life force, that you have more energy. And so it's something to consider and something to take in. Not everybody's gonna wanna do that, I get that. But if you're looking at ways to boost your testosterone levels, I'm gonna be 37 in a couple weeks. And for me, my priority is not necessarily having a bunch of sex and having all these kind of things going on. And so for me, it's one of those things where I've noticed that my energy levels, my strength, my priorities on physique build and optimization and energy and mood and overall sense of being, having higher levels of testosterone naturally has been benefited by this practice. So consider withholding ejaculate so that you can have higher levels of testosterone. I think you're gonna notice by day 2, 3, if you don't normally do that, you'll start to feel more robust, you'll start to feel more energized. And if you can channel that energy into something that you wanna work on, a work project, your day-to-day, you're gonna find that's gonna benefit you even more. Transitioning now, I've got a couple cool tools. I think you guys saw before, maybe you didn't catch the video, I did a review on this product. It was an ached away cupper, and this thing is pretty awesome. If you have ever done cupping, you know it's amazing for recovery. Well, I talked to the company, and they actually sent me a blood flow restriction set of bands, and these bands look really sexy. They're actually looking really, really good. I'm going to do a review video on my next video of the entire sort of idea around blood flow restriction. I think for a lot of people, blood flow restriction can be a huge benefit. The idea is that you cut off circulation, you restrict blood to primary muscle groups that you're working, and the body is tricked into thinking you're actually loading those muscles with much more load than you actually are. And you can typically, at a 20% load, see 70 to 80 to 90% load results from your training by using blood flow restriction. The other nice thing is when you can do that, when you can deload and still get the same results, you can avoid injuries. So elbows, shoulders. I mean, it's a little trickier with blood flow on the shoulders, but if you're working your arms and you're putting heavy weight there, you're going to, and you still can get the same results with, say, a 20-pound dumbbell that you normally would have to use a 60-pound dumbbell to get. You're going to see improvements in the wear, in the actual overall inflammation and damage, and maybe long-term sort of mileage you're putting on your joints. So blood flow restriction is awesome, especially if you're a little bit older and you want to maintain or build muscle mass, but you don't want to risk an old injury. You have parts of your body that just don't tolerate heavy resistance. And it's also a great hack for training. If you just are younger and you have good joints and you feel great, you're going to be better off to maybe add this into your regimen, into your actual routine. With variable resistance, I've done the review on the product X3, the X bar. And what I've noticed is that when I finish off a workout and I get a pump and I'm able to add variable resistance to the chest, to my back, to especially to legs, where I have always been cautious to do heavy squats, heavy deadlifts, because the fact of the matter is a lot of people get injuries in those places, and I don't want my knees and my back to be a problem for me as I age, but I still want to make sure those areas are strong. Well, variable resistance lowers the load when you're at the most sort of vulnerable position, and then as you expand out towards your sort of full rep and you get to the max range, your resistance increases, it varies it to a higher level. And so you can put more stress and more weight on parts of your body because there's more of that force being applied directly to the muscle and less to your joints at those higher end parts of the rep range. I will also mention the fish oil that I talked about earlier. The fish in my diet is helping with the joints. So I've noticed I have a kind of a funky knee, left knee, that gets a little sort of like, it gets a little bothersome. It can be problematic, and just I can feel it. It doesn't feel stable. It causes some issues, especially around cold weather. When I train and do leg day and I do like single leg squats and put a lot of like force on that knee, it also gets to be a little bit like tight. It kind of feels a little bit achy. And I've noticed when I add the fish, that kind of went away. I haven't felt that nearly as much. Now, rolling the muscles around that area helps a lot. Creating space there also helps. But all of these things have been great. They've been good optimizations. So I'm excited about the blood flow restriction. I think it's a great topic. I'm gonna talk about it in depth when I do the next video. I also have a 8 Sleep topper coming, their newest product. They have been talking with me now for about 8-9 months, and I've been excited about sleep optimization for years. I've just seen such a benefit. One of the biggest variables you can absolutely see the most difference in your life in terms of how you feel and how you experience your world and function is sleep. And we've done now a number of reviews on Cryo and Chili Pad and their product, Uller Sleep System, the Chili, comparing the two. Well, 8 Sleep is going to be sending over their newest pod cover, which is a full-on product which actually goes into the similar benefits. There's a whole slew of different features. So we're going to be doing a comparison between that and the Uller Sleep System. And I'm also going to be talking about and doing a standalone comparison, just product review of their product to kind of share with you all what I think about it. Several updates there. I hope this was valuable. I'm excited to share these upcoming things. Thank you so much for following me all this time. I know I've been less than consistent with the delivery of the content and what we've been doing with the channel, but I wanted to give you a few updates on what's going on with the channel and my sort of progression of what I've been working on with the carnivore diet, because frankly, I've been working a lot on my Crush for Ties main business I've had for 7 years now, and it just demands more and more of me right now. And it's a valuable and great opportunity that I'm focused on, but at the same time, it's pulled me out of the carnivore lifestyle, not the lifestyle, but the actual content and mission that we've had with OptiAlign to sort of deliver content and really focus on these experiments. And it's gonna probably be that way for another few months. The plan is to upload every other week and still have 2 uploads a month. And I'm gonna focus more on what I think is relevant to you all who follow this channel and what you wanna see. That's just a function of life right now and where I'm at with where I can prioritize time. This has always been a passion project, so I really appreciate everybody who follows along, and I really watch the feedback. I love the comments and everything. It's kind of a conversation and a way for me to share what I'm working on and get feedback from all of you, because I'm not always the most wise person on these topics. I just learn what I learn and then grow from the community that we have around Carnivore Kurt. So until the next video, thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments to share or topics that you want to discuss, put them in that comment section below. If there's something you want me to bring back, let me know. And if there's something I touched on in this video that you really have an interest in and you want me to go into that in more particular, I would love to be able to kind of look at that feedback and adjust for that. So I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one, guys.